Picture this tiny, totally obsessed little caterpillar out in ancient China. This little guy spent all his days and all his nights just munching away, totally zeroed in, exclusively chewing on fresh mulberry leaves. He was completely, blissfully unaware of the absolute wonder he was about to create for the rest of us. So, when this fat little bug needs to find safe shelter to sleep, he starts squeezing out this liquid, spinning it into a solid string, and wrapping himself up. It is basically like watching a tiny automated factory building a cozy safe house, layer by layer. He just keeps going, wrapping his body over and over and over again, until he forms this incredibly tight, beautiful white ball, totally protected. Now, imagine a super relaxed afternoon way back in time. An empress named Lezu is just sitting under this grand old tree, having some hot tea and letting her mind wander. Suddenly, this tiny white cocoon falls right into her cup. The hot water softens it up just enough, and as she curiously pulls at it, she draws out this incredibly long, shiny, impossibly delicate string. You kind of have to marvel at the brilliant flash of inspiration she had next. She realized if you gently twist these fine threads together, you get this gorgeous yarn. Woven together, it became cloth that was unlike absolutely anything else on Earth. It glowed in the sunlight, kept you super warm when it was freezing out, and perfectly cool when it was blazing hot. Of course, transforming that little accident in her teacup into usable cloth took ridiculous amounts of patience. The ancient Chinese had to provide quiet warmth and constant feeding for these worms. Then came the careful boiling to protect that long thread from breaking, followed by the beautifully slow, mesmerizing process of weaving it on these massive wooden looms. At the start, this stunning, brightly colored fabric was strictly for the royal family. But you know how these things go, it quickly became the ultimate status symbol for the extremely wealthy. It was quite literally as valuable as shiny gold, and eventually it got the attention of some very eager buyers way outside the empire's borders. But keeping a secret that massive, well, it came with some really heavy rules. The empire successfully kept the secret for an impossibly long time by only ever selling the finished cloth, never the live worms. And if anyone tried to share how it was made with the outside world, the consequences were incredibly severe, costing them their life. It was a very dark shadow over such a beautiful thing. It is pretty wild thinking about foreign royalty going completely crazy, offering absolute fortunes for the secret. They were throwing out wild guesses, totally convinced this beautiful fabric grew on tall trees or came from special flower petals. They could not even fathom that such pure luxury came from a crawling bug. To get their hands on it, traders took some incredibly dangerous journeys. They loaded this precious cloth onto camels and crossed treacherous, seemingly endless deserts, pushing through high, freezing mountain passes where any wrong step meant disaster. Over time, all those weary footprints expanded into a massive global network. It was essentially the ancient world's version of the internet, connecting completely different cultures together for the very time. It is mind-blowing to think about how an absolute obsession with this fabric caused massive amounts of Roman gold to flow all the way back east. But those dusty paths carried so much more than just cloth and coins. They carried tasty spices, new foods, and wild, exciting stories that ended up tying completely different worlds together. You have to ask yourself, how does a heavily guarded empire finally lose its most protected secret? The Romans were beyond frustrated paying outrageous prices. That is, until a clever princess supposedly smuggled silkworm eggs, hidden deep inside her thick hair, to her new husband. Following right on the heels of that legend is the totally mischievous tale of some monks who traveled east. They hollowed out their wooden walking canes and hid tiny eggs right inside to carry back to Europe, breaking the monopoly forever. It is exactly like someone today smuggling a massive corporate tech secret on a hidden computer drive, so sneaky, but it changed everything. After that, it was a global explosion. People were planting mulberry trees absolutely everywhere. Faster machines were spinning away in huge Italian weaving factories, and French kings were showing off in majestic robes of deep reds and blues. Even when sickness eventually hit the European bugs, science gently stepped in, studying them closely to save those tiny, fragile workers. And today, those exact same hungry caterpillars are still spinning protective white cocoons for our luxury clothes and even for safe, healing medical stitches. It leaves scientists just staring at spiderwebs and cocoons in absolute awe, trying to copy them. Because honestly, nature is still the ultimate teacher. Looking back, it fills you with wonder, doesn't it? This little bug, an empress, and some spilled tea completely rewrote history. It made faraway strangers finally talk to each other, trade, and share their absolute best ideas. Despite all our modern plastics and shiny metals, we still rely on this delicate living cycle. Turning simple green leaves into pure luxury, it is just a quiet kind of magic, the kind of grand journey that kids still trace with their fingers on old school maps today. It really lets your mind wander to the deep patience this delicate thread demands. You just cannot rush it. And our deep human desire for things that catch the light, it gave the East and West the absolute perfect, risky excuse to stop being strangers. Good things take a lot of time. Think about it. Lei Zhu didn't just throw that bug out of her tea in disgust. She saw huge, beautiful possibility instead. It proves that we can all find extraordinary hidden strengths in the most unlikely everyday places. That sleepy cocoon's long trip to becoming a flowing robe is really just a massive, ancient collaboration between the insect and the weaver. It is supported by early rising farmers carrying on ancient traditions, all completely soaked in the history of emperors and weary desert traders. It is an awe-inspiring reality to sit with. An overlooked little miracle of nature forced strangers across oceans to meet and basically build our modern connected world. It really makes you wonder, what overlooked little miracles are sitting right in front of us today, just waiting to build the next era of our world? Hey, if you enjoyed wandering through this story with me, I would really love it if you could hit like, share it around, and subscribe to the channel for more.